That's right, folks. Happy to have each and every one of you with us this evening. Share the live and let's smash that emoji button. Good to see each and every one of you here with us. Good folks, we're going to do as we're asking of you. We're going to share the live as well. We're going to smash that emoji button as well. How are you good folks doing out there this evening? Do let us know because we want to know how you folks did throughout the day today. But you hit the ground running, folks. You're still fired up and you're ready to go. The folks who are joining us from Kukwani, good to have you here with us. Good to have all of you on board with us this evening. I see all the names running by already. Godfrey Montaigne. Good to see you there, Godfrey. Oh, it almost slipped me there. Good to see you there, Godfrey Montaigne, and all the other folks who are joining us. Lennox Anderson, Melanie Adams joining us, Pamela, and all the other folks who are on with us. Folks, as we begin tonight, as we begin Lyndon Gill, as we begin this evening, want to show you some of what the folks showed us earlier is happening up at Unity Maikoni. They said it's a traffic backup. Traffic is backed up at that end. And as we come in this evening, folks, as we come in with a fight card tonight, we want to go right to that and show you some of what's happening. They open up, folks, Unity Maikoni up on the East Coast there. So what's happening at that end at this hour?
Coming to you live from Unity on the East Coast of Donwara. The access road to Georgetown and to Ica totally shut down right now. Yes, the access road. This is Unity. This is Unity on the East Coast. Totally shut down right now. If you think of going to those places, it's a long night. Trying to get home from work and this is what I make a painter. What is happening is that the road block off from both sides. This is the road that they're walking on right now. So if you're heading to Ica and those places, you have a long wait. No vehicles not moving right now. This is Unity area. Unity area. Hold on. No, I don't have to sleep here. I can make my way out here. So they're trying to get the place clear so they can pass. No, it's not an accident, guys. It's not an accident. Trying to make peace so people can pass. The vehicle now start moving.
Get ready, Guyana! Kano Beauty Club, a French company, is coming to Guyana. Kenisha Chapman Besserev, the CEO of the company, will be in Guyana in order to offer different services such as ombre brows, touch-up brows, teeth whitening, ears detox, facial skincare, and the most exciting one, there will be a masterclass on ombre brows and all of the France techniques like brow mapping or shaping, color theory, skin anatomy, marketing and business tips, and a lot more. This course is designed for both beginner and experienced artists. No cosmetology or esthetician license is required. Register now and become your own boss. For more information, call +594 694 364868.
That was the opener, folks. Welcome back to our broadcast. As we start this evening, you are in the right place. Good to have all of you on the live tonight, good folks. Good to have all of you here. Welcome, folks. Welcome to Monday evening. We trust that you guys are well. Share the live wherever you're joining us from. You know, lots is happening, folks. Lots happening in the Guyana Police Force. And as we get into some of the international news, I want to bring you up to speed on some of that. Just recently, Mr. Nigel, you speaking at the Alliance for Change press conference, touched on some of what's happening in the Guyana Police Force and the corruption that we're hearing at that end. Take a look and take a listen. Take a look.
Leader of the Alliance for Change, Nigel Hughes, has commented on the criminality in the upper ranks of the Guyana Police Force. He told a recent press conference hosted by the AFC that the police shouldn't be asked to investigate themselves.
An independent external investigation must be conducted. The statement by the Commissioner of Police that there was no attempted deposit of tens of millions of dollars by his deputy into the credit union is a cause for great concern and immediately necessitates his standing down as commissioner during the course of an independent investigation.
At issue are the allegations against Assistant Commissioner Calvin Brutus, who's performing the duties of Deputy Commissioner. Brutus was accused of seeking to deposit $16.5 million into the police credit union. The deposit was refused, but the staff were transferred. Hughes said that the acting commissioner, Clifton Hicken, should be removed from office.
The powers vested in the commissioner, who can influence the conduct of any police investigation into his deputy, coupled with his clear attempt to provide cover for his deputy, necessitate his removal from office during the course of the investigation. The commissioner has already passed retirement age and may wish to consider his options as a retiree.
The anti-money laundering legislation is in place. Vice President Maharaj Jagdeo said that the laws necessitate that all leaders disclose the source of their income. Brutus claimed that the $16.5 million represented money given to him as gifts at his wedding. He also suggested the possible team of investigators.
It can be an external police force in the Caribbean. We could invite somebody from Barbados or Jamaica, probably preferable Jamaica, to come and conduct that investigation. They can be vested with the appropriate powers by way of statute so that they can investigate. So the kind of investigation that would be acceptable would be an external investigation. One of the police forces in the Caribbean can provide top level of investigators to come and conduct this investigation. But it certainly cannot be done by anybody in the Guyana Police Force, especially where the commissioner is involved or is alleged to have made statements, and he made those statements for the purposes of providing, or it would appear, providing some cover for the deputy who
At present, the Office of Professional Responsibility, which is answerable to the Police Commission, is the entity within the Guyana Police Force to conduct investigations.
Yep. You know by now, good folks, like most of us do. Let's be real. Satan can't cast out Satan. Edward and Deborah and Sheila Boyd Child and Kurt and all the folks joining us tonight. John Jones, good to see you there. Edward Broom, Satan can't cast out Satan. Let's touch on some things happening international. Besides the fact that Trump has now been declared the presumptive nominee and the winner of the 2024. I'm not going to go there. I'm not going to go there. But Republican nominee, certainly. Folks, look at what we're tracking internationally. In spite of that, look what happened. You see this climate change thing? Folks, you see this climate change business is real. Daphne and Onessa and Donna, John and Debbie, Eva Mathis, Nima flew best. I'll call your name later on this same program, I'll call your name, Nima. 35 Afghans were killed. 35, that's plenty. Folks, never get numb to death. Oh, it's only 35. 230 injured. You see rain, climate change, mudslide, plate tectonic shifts, and the whole gamut of it. My Lord, it's at times when some of that transpired in Afghanistan over the last few hours, and we want to pray for them. We want to keep them in our thoughts and prayers, just like the folks at Unity Myconi in that big traffic. Nothing to set you back like that. You see you tired and want to go home and a whole set of traffic. Thoughts and prayers with the folks at Unity Myconi in that traffic jam, logs blocking the road there. And also, folks, the folks in Afghanistan, 35 killed, 230. Don't ever become numb to that. You know, be like the poet John Donne, who says that every man's death diminishes me. Be like that. Our thoughts and prayers with these good folks. Good to see Joylyn on the live tonight. Sharon, good to see you on the live as well. Ring the bell for all of you. Wonderful folks. Ring the bell for all of you. And my folks from Kokwani, especially Claudine Dukwa, our thoughts and prayers with Claudine's mom, who's not feeling too well this evening. Here's looking at you. Get well soon. Please and thank you. Get well soon. Good to have all of you, as I said, on the live. Some of the other things we're following this evening. Look, Gambia. This is called progress. Gambia, overnight, has upheld what it calls a landmark law, which has banned female genital mutilation. It might have been something culturally accepted, back in the day because perhaps we didn't know better. Perhaps. But now that we know differently, we act according to wisdom. Not so good, folks. We act according to wisdom. One time we thought the earth was flat. We thought the earth, it mightn't be you, but some of us, we thought the earth was flat. And if you walk too far, certain point, you could fall off. But thank God for progress. Thank God for knowledge. And we're advancing day by day. So Zambia had a law tested quite recently. And it's holding firm, folks. It's holding firm. Yeah, female genital mutilation. Culturally, you travel the world. Cultures are so different. Countries are so different, one from the other. And you see, Mr. Hughes there was talking about what's happening in the police force. Culturally, police forces are so vastly different from one another. I'll have a chance later on to talk to Mr. Norton about some of those very concerns that Mr. Hughes expressed there. Yes, you said it right, Mr. Norton. I'm going to talk to him in just a little bit. Caught up with him earlier on today and put a couple questions to him. And some of those very matters, you're going to hear him on that very shortly. But watching what's happening here in Zambia, folks, and I think in the Caribbean now, I heard the Meteorological Office right here talk about this problem quite recently, and that it was still affecting parts of Region 4 on the coast out here. This is the Sahara dust. Now, it's months ago we learned that a plume whatever they call it, the plume of Sahara dust was coming to Guyana. We had to be careful. And we did see it become very, very hazy. Now the folks in the Caribbean, thanks to Caribbean Loop, says that the Saharan dust is still lingering in the Caribbean and affecting the quality of the air. Folks, if there's nothing that says to us how much the world is a global village, let it be that thing. Let this be that thing. The world is a global village without borders. Now, of course, the Saharan dust is from the Sahara. I can see y'all like, duh. Right? It's from the Sahara. But look how far it has come. Look how far it has come. And that is why we're not any major polluter here. Right? But look how climate change is affecting us the same way. So all the folks in the Caribbean who were affected one way or the other by the lingering Saharan dust. Thoughts with you guys? Or thoughts? Look at this now. We talked about Trinidad quite recently. Look at this, folks. Oh my God. Talk about your National Year of Prayer. Talk about being in need of a National Year of Prayer, folks. Trinidad has recorded 24 murders in about 7 days. In about 7 days. Who's smashing that emoji one? Come on. Pick up the pace, so come on. Pick up the pace for us. Some of y'all dipping a little bit. You know, us big people got to stick together. You know, us big people got to stick together. I took some fun doing that. Come on now. Come on now. Pick up the pace a little bit. Come on, folks. 24. That's serious there. That's serious there. Very, very serious there. I heard again Mr. Hughes talking about some competent investigators, preferably out of Trinidad, coming to investigate Brutus and the whole pack of them boys. Trinidad got some trouble there. 24 murders in 7 days. You know, my wife was remarking to me just a short while ago. She said, how we used to talk about the accidents. That's how murders happening now in this country. We could be right there in the short, very short order, you know. Don't come wrong with Jamaicans funny. Don't do it. Mackerel and all. Don't come wrong them funny. Our thanks for those guys at that end. Grenada now, as we come into the 592. As we come into the 592, has sung high praises for Guyana for sending troops to support what has happened there with Hurricane Beryl, the devastation that has been caused by Hurricane Beryl. So we often take a bow as Guyanese. Pat yourself on the shoulder a little bit. Grenadian Prime Minister Decon Mitchell. He says, thank you to Guyana. So thank you, Guyanese. Thank you. The soldiers, our GDF, our finest, even though we don't know who killed the 5, or how they met their demise in that chopper crash the other day. What were the circumstances surrounding that? Nonetheless, our finest in uniform took relief supplies, they tell us, and materials to assist with the rebuilding efforts there in Grenada, the Spice Island. And we learned, folks, if you've been watching us closely, avidly, we've talked about how Carriacou was so devastated, especially, you know, devastated. Thoughts and prayers with our brothers and sisters there in our sister country, Grenada. Yeah, who's sharing the life today? Come on. Pick up the pace. Come on. Pick up the pace a little bit for us. So that's what's happening at that end, folks. Yeah. With the 592 now, y'all know when to come in so quick. Y'all don't know when to come in so quick. But while we pull it back, yeah. Thank you and them boys for you. Jack you and them boys for you. 18 minutes in, 2,300 of you watching us. Oh, we're so grateful for that. We're so grateful for that. 18 minutes in, 2,300 of you. Tune in. I'll tell you how we're going to be talking about Nima. Nima was reflecting quite recently, Member of Parliament. Nima reflecting quite recently what took place at Joanna Cecilia. And part of what the Member of Parliament says, the children who are always traumatized the most. You know, I was in there. The imagery is still fresh in my head. Those children eating on the ground. You know, the quality of the food and all of that. Oh, my God. We're so rich, yet we're so poor. We're belly full, but we're hungry. We're hungry, folks. We're hungry. MP Nima flew best. Take it away.
The demolition of the homes of Sarah Joanna East Bank Demerara will have far-reaching effects on the affected children, says Member of Parliament Nima Flubes.
When you visit the area, you recognize the need to give support to these poor families that have suffered such inhumane acts and injustice. I want persons to understand that at Sierra Joanna, the current sitting Attorney General would have been engaging in those with those persons, and based on the information I would have had from the residents, under our time when the coalition was in government, they were working quite with those people with the idea of them having that land.
She said that when the PPP entered government, that drive ceased. The land suddenly became the property of one man.
The government went in, they registered to get land allocation at a different area. 2021, we were in 2024. After that, they were invited to pay monies. Those who couldn't afford the monies required, they did not accept what they had. I remember we were talking about poor families, not rich people, but you still didn't collect the little that they had. And when you talk with the residents, you would hear them tell you that they borrow money from them.
The people were given 1 day to pay the required money. The government denied being responsible for the demolition.
7 homes that have already been demolished and 15 children that are made homeless. Most of those family got 4 children. I still study the woman, the single mother that is out there on the tampon with her 4 girl children.
Ms. Frubes and others have tried to provide assistance to the affected people.
Cooking food items, because I know the week is started, people need food to cook every day for the children. I don't think the children deserve what they're going through. Nobody deserves what they're going through, but especially the children. When you look at these children, I'll tell people the image on Saturday morning, seeing little boys being bitten by a sandfly. The sandfly, you know, sandfly could be miserable, but they had no clothes on other than their shorts. Because when the homes were broken down, everything for them was destroyed.
She said that the government isn't thinking about the psychosocial impact on the children who would have observed the demolition of their homes.
So you imagine a child growing up believes that the police ought to provide protection for them. So if you had an issue, I could run to the police. Do you believe that those children would actually believe that after they would have witnessed the police standing there, seeing a machine beating down their homes, their personal items, and even attacking some of their mothers and their fathers on that location?
She said that if the demolition continues, 48 homes would be destroyed.
And based on the information I would have received from fast food works in the area, there's about 120 children in that area. Could you imagine if we have 120 children homeless?
Member of Parliament Coretta MacDonald said that she saw the desperation on the faces of the affected people.
And then when you saw the cry of a young 26-year-old father and a husband who was able to put up a structure that he called a home, that he called his palace, that he called his empire, that was taken away from him. And I vividly recall the president trying to embarrass a young 28-year-old reporter, telling him that he was not interested in development. But here, on the other hand, you have a 26-year-old man with a family. His home was destroyed.
Get ready, Guyana! Kano Beauty Club, a French company, is coming to Guyana. Kenisha Chapman-Bessareth, the CEO of the company, will be in Guyana in order to offer different services such as ombre brows, touch-up brows, teeth whitening, ears detox, facial skincare, and the most exciting one, there will be a masterclass on ombre brows and all of the French techniques like brow mapping or shaping, color theory, skin anatomy, marketing and business tips, and a lot more. This course is designed for both beginner and experienced artists. No cosmetology or esthetician license is required. Register now and become your own boss. For more information, call +594 694 364868.
Yep. I like the song of that, Becoming Your Own Boss. Love this song of that. Becoming your own boss. Sign up, folks. You know, some of you got get some thing for your brow, and so I like the teeth whitening part. You got me there, the teeth whitening part. Signing myself up right there. I happening in 5 minutes. I want to get you, Mr. Norton, in very short order. Share the live, the man. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Pick up the pace. Stay with us, stay with us, stay with us. By this time, some of y'all drifting off a little bit. I can see y'all till in the morning. I want y'all tonight. Come on, come on. Let's get you some of the local stuff and get you Mr. Norton. Look story now, man. Look story here. I've heard the traffic chief talk almost ad nauseum about y'all and y'all sirens. Y'all wife got siren, the maid got siren, the side chick, got sirens, the babysitter got sirens. The traffic chief says the law is very clear. Oh, we got reading spell for some people. No private vehicles should have sirens and flashing lights. God damn it. Listen to man, oh shucks. That's what the man's every day. Every day I hear them saying that. And still some of you folks, Michael, it's like Christmas in Georgetown every day. You see some 212 got flashing lights and sirens in it. Right? Some series, a series is called it, got flashing lights and sirens in it. Vauxhall, Morris Oxford, flashing lights and say, come on, folks. Now let me get here. The traffic chief is saying, if you're not entitled to it, if you're not that important, what are you doing? But see, this country is a wild, wild west. You listen to the fella, the man. Who's sharing the light? Some of y'all just come to spectate, you know. Cancer didn't tell you. Cancer didn't tell you. We're doing the most. Look what happened here now. Folks, it used to be that our Chinese brothers and sisters operated their business and commerce like in the background. But I find since the oil come, we're stepping out. We're stepping out. This fella, is it Zhang Jingfang? I don't know. Apologies if I'm not calling it right. One of a questioning in relation to money laundering. In relation to money laundering. Look, hold on. Bring it back. All y'all know, folks. I turned 36 quite recently. I mean 45. And up until then, I could count on one hand and probably not even utilizing all my fingers on that one hand. The amount of times I've heard a Chinese national involved in some infraction locally. Not so recent. It's like a gift from my 45th year on the earth. It's like a gift. Xinjiang Fang wanted money laundering, among other things. Wanted by the police. So if you're watching us, Xing, please turn yourself in to the nearest police station. That being said, you remember the police had a sting operation quite recently? Looks to right. I'm just telling you, this thing becoming like a norm now. You know? I'm worried about my Chinese community. You all know my great-grandfather was from Hong Kong. I told you that story, right? My great-grandmother was a hot girl. Bap. You know, she went by his store one morning. He had a salt good shop. She went by his store singing, give me water, something. You know, like the girl from South Africa. What was her name again? Zayla, Maya. You know, great-grandma was a hot girl. Great-grandfather was from Hong Kong. Bap. So this is my community, folks. I don't want to see them getting involved in activities that are untoward, that are shady. They're telling us now, is it Yingjing Su? Miss Su was charged recently among 3 other Chinese nationals. Here it is, for possession of firearms and ammunition. Oh, Jesus, Lord. That's what we're doing now. I am certain Xi Jinping would not be proud. There, I said it. Xi Jinping would not. When you come, you got to keep your flag flying high. You have a transnational crime, money laundering. What are you doing with guns and ammunition? Just like the sirens and the flashing light. If you're not entitled to it, what are you doing with it, man? Huh? Guns don't kill people, some of y'all say. People kill people still. Watch yourselves there. That's one evening, you know, one newscast. I never saw this. in the past. How come? Melanie Adams says it's Sue wife. Well, I don't know. Mel, if you know the whole thing, please let us know. We could call you, right? You give the whole story. You give the whole story. Right? No, it's Sue there now. They said this is Mrs. Sue. That's what the folks are saying on the line. I've seen the comments there. I don't know if it's Mrs. Sue. But if you all got qualified, you all got the wedding photographs, do let us know, good folks. Do let us know. Stay on the right side of the law. That's all we say. Stay on the right side. Signs of the times, good folks. Signs of the times. I saw Sharda Bacchus, fantastic young woman from Newsroom. I met her when I was an undergraduate reading communication studies at University of Ghana. Fantastic young lady in journalism. One of the better ones at Newsroom. One of the better. I think I could think with she. I could put my head on a block for she. She understands journalism. Herself and who's the other young lady? I call her names tonight. Who Vex? Who name on call? All right. You gotta do better. Sharon Back. It's fantastic. She broke the story today about this young woman being trafficked in my own country, you know. And part of what Sharda pointed out for Newsroom is that more times than not, it's always migrants being trafficked. And this woman, oh my God, you should hear her ordeal. She says somebody she used to trust. It's Baselche. It's who trafficked you. It's always somebody you trust. It's always somebody you trust go hurt you now. She said the amount of men she had to sleep with, this and that, my God. You should hear the ordeal. You see? But when Jesus said yes, no man can say no. And he said, it's a time for come out. So Charlotte bust out the whole story. Again, one of the better ones at Newsroom there. I hope she go on to become editor-in-chief there and they start producing some fair and balanced news. And I know Charlotte one who should fair and balanced news, but it's trying to hold her back. We can't hold back a star like that. Fantastic young man. I'm just being a little facetious tonight. Just being a little facetious. One of the good ones there at Newsroom. Traffic. Look, if you know trafficking people, stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Jesus and live a victorious life. Trafficking people now. Accept whoever you think is a higher power. I want you all say, look, you left me out, Sherrod. I don't believe in nothing. I believe in Hinduism or I'm a Muslim or something like that. Whoever you believe in a higher power, I'm just happy you believe in something. People who don't believe in nothing is cause a lot of problems. Pray for this young lady. If you read the ordeal, we don't have the time for this evening. We don't have the time for it. But the GRA is telling the GGMC, Vikram Bharat, the whole PP government, we beg. The Ghana Human Rights Association, look, they say we beg. We beg. They have noted that the government dragging the feet on this gold probe, this gold smuggling probe. The Ghana Human Rights Association telling the PPP install cabal, we big and we got sense. Don't come wrong, we funny. Please and thank you. Stop this feet dragging. Or you're waiting on this, you're waiting on that. You ask the Americans for this, you ask the Americans for that. Don't do it. Don't do it. That being said, folks, I caught up with Mr. Norton today, leader of the PNCR, the People's National Congress Reform, leader of the opposition as well, and put some questions to him. We talked about Vikram Bharat and this same gold smuggling business. We talked about them and the PPP. And we talked about Brutus, what happened in the police force. See that? Talk about the Commissioner of Police as well. Touch a little bit on what's happening there in the economy, folks. Want to keep you along tonight. Rock and come in, Mr. Norton. Rock and come in.
Mr. Norton, a very good morning and welcome back from the US. I heard you were out recently. I know your business.
Good morning. Yes, I was out and I did have a number of engagements apart from attending a private function.
Broadly, how did they go?
The engagements were very well. A lot of it was focused on engaging the Indian community in the United States, Guyanese, of course.
Mm-hmm.
And we did have a good bit of engagements, and we promised to do some work moving forward.
Excellent, excellent. Welcome back, as I said. A number of things have been happening locally. You were successfully re-elected. How have you been settling into your second term as leader of the PNCR, People's National Congress?
Well, I can say I had some rest because I have been at it all the time. Now we have a new executive. We meet on Wednesday, and I'm going to, at that meeting, engage them on a number of issues which we will discuss and arrive at some positions on. We have to name a general secretary, though it's exclusively within the realm of the leader. I've been engaging people, and I think by Wednesday CEC, I would have identified the next general secretary of the party.
Excellent. Is the public going to be happy?
If the public is going to what?
Is the public going to be happy?
Well, I would think they should be happy. The person that is under consideration is a competent person. But I still have a few more engagements before I actually say that this is the person, this is how we move forward.
Excellent. As you start this second term, you said you've already had some engagement in the diaspora. What are you thinking of locally? And I want to pick your brain on a couple very serious issues developing.
I want to start a significant focus on the youth. The Congress had decided that we should have our youth conference by October. And we will work assiduously to ensure that we get that youth conference off. We have been working with the youth across the country, engaging them. We're now going to just bring them together, provide them with the GYSM constitution, which some of them have, and to begin to work in a structured way with the youth of the party and the youth of the country, because the youth is critical to the next election.
Excellent. And let's talk about some of what's happening currently. Some of it very, very corrupt, seemingly untenable as it were. Let's start with these very strong allegations that were brought against a very senior policeman recently, Mr. Brutus. They said he was trying to make a huge deposit into the police credit union, $15+ million, and the 1.5 million as interest. You're hearing a senior policeman owns multiple buildings, apartment buildings, and all of that. Is this government that's taking corruption seriously? What are your thoughts here?
If you go back to what I was saying from the time I became opposition leader, if you do not have a proper police commissioner who is qualified and can do the work and whose integrity is not in question, then we're going to have problems. Now, before that, you had Vice President Jack Dale being accused of fraud, of bribery and corruption, without the police investigating. The very fact that the police refused to investigate it underscores the reality that the police would be guided by their activities, and so the police now know that they have to protect the political directorate so they can do it and escape. Unfortunately for them, low ranks in the Ghana police force, they were putting the information out there, so they became exposed. Now the reality is, this governing of this country is done in a corrupt way. The allocation of contracts is by, in large measure, corruption. You have corrupted the head, the body will go. And so I've been saying for the longest while that I will never agree to the appointment of the present acting police commissioner because he doesn't suit the job. And it has nothing to do with anything personal. The very PPP had outlined the qualifications for a commissioner. The politicization of the police force has placed it where it is. If you politicize the police force now knows that they don't have to be accountable to the commissioner. You hear some of them talking about going directly to the president, some going to the vice president. So almost immediately you remove the line of command and create multiple points of power that policemen can access, and in the process, you undermine the structure of the police. With an undermined structure, senior policemen believe they can become involved in illegalities and get away with it because they have to protect persons. Let us not forget they would have had to get an instruction to deal with the allegations of rape against
Mr. Darmlal.
Minister Dharamlal at the time. And that would have meant that policemen know, they are aware that there is political intervention and that they did a favor to the government. So they now see themselves as the government having favors for them. And that kind of create the conditions for the level of corruption you're seeing, not only at the police, but look what is happening in Goal and the GGMC. Look what has happened.
I'm coming there. I'm coming to GGMC.
So
Vikram.
once you politicize the structures that should be independent, once you remove the line of command, you are creating conditions propitious to the high levels of corruption we've seen.
What do you think of what the Minister of Home Affairs, Robson Ben, said about investigation into the very issues concerning Mr. Brutus, that who was going to be doing the investigation?
Well, in a statement, we made it very clear. You can't charge Caesar to be tried by Caesar. The police has already established that they lack credibility, more so at the top. Now, you rather than send Brutus home, you claim that he is asked to be sent on leave. That in itself tells you that he continues to be who he is on leave, and therefore there is scope for him to interfere with junior ranks. We have said in a press statement, this demands a reputable international institution such as the FBI or the authorities in Canada or some country in which their law enforcement architecture is intact. You cannot allow the police to investigate the police. It makes no sense.
Mm-hmm.
You need a reputable investigator, and then there's the accounts part of it, in which you might need a forensic accountant to go through, etc. So it has transcended the police force. And the police force, by its very action, would have made themselves not a candidate. It is only the blind will not see that the police cannot investigate the police. It has to be done by a reputable institution. Let us not forget, we wrote the commissioner of police when they were when there was electoral fraud in the local government election. He refused to act. Clearly, he acted to protect the PPP and their operatives. And now it is their turn to protect them. And if we're going to get anywhere with an investigation, it has to be a reputable international body undertaking the investigation.
Excellent. The U.S. Treasury issued a number of sanctions recently to what they call gold smuggling, among other things. Metusan Thomas is one of the ministers, permanent secretaries, said received gifts and all of that for lucrative contracts. The Mohammeds were caught up in that, are caught up in that. Vikram Bharat is the head for that ministry that has oversight for the gold board and gold exports and so on. Allegations are already that he was recently detained by U.S. federal agents, escorted off a flight to New York. Questioned, he is adamant that while he did talk to these federal agents, it was concerning the development of Guyana. He's actually suing veteran journalist Enrico Wolford on that front. What are your thoughts about these developments?
Well, I think he's grandstanding. I think he knows full well that he was pulled in, and that Enrico is a reputable journalist who, over the years, was not into sensationalism. He does his research, he does his work, and when he would have put that out there, it would have been after he would have accumulated all the facts and put it out there. Now, the government must of necessity try to say something, but even in what they're saying, there are loopholes. On Robin's letter that didn't make much sense, because here is a minister goes to the United States. There seems to be a confusion as to, they said he was there on his personal matters. Of course, he was using a diplomatic passport. I do not believe that the United States government just acted on one day. If you follow how the US agencies work, they tend to, over a prolonged period. And we were hearing whispers here that they were on to what was happening in terms of the gold industry. And, you know, continuously the Mohammeds were saying they were innocent, etc.
Yeah.
Now, I believe that they were doing their work. They have information at their disposal. It is now the task of the government to say to the United States government, look, you are operating now at the level of allegation. Provide us with the evidence. If there's no evidence forthcoming, then I can see them saying, oh, well, then we're not going to sanction anybody. But if they ask for the evidence and they get the evidence, then they will be obligated to operate in a particular way. Look, some people will comment on the interference in internal affairs. I do believe that countries should have their sovereign rights. But if you sign on to a convention on corruption, then you have obligations in this world. And if there's the contention that there is corruption in high places and governments are acting, let us not forget these are governments we are asking for loans and assistance from. We were just asking for money for the Gasto Shore project, which I understand was not approved. But even as we talk about sovereignty, we also have got to talk about our international obligation. And it is very critical at this stage that we support any fight against corruption. Corruption has been in this world one of the things that made many developing countries end up with the resource curse. And we believe that everything should be done to reduce and ultimately eradicate corruption. Because if you have weak institutions like we have, and money going around like it is going around, there is supposed to be an investment committee that is managing an investment that is innocuous. It is not allowed to do what it has to do. So you have an open playing field for corruption. And I believe both at the national and international level, corruption has got to be handled. Corruption is one of the causes of poverty in societies, because when the elite is corrupt, they carry away millions, billions of dollars in this case, and the people don't benefit. If you look at this government virtually doubling the infrastructure budget, I made a point in my Congress presentation that it is unacceptable for you to be doubling the budget. We believe there is need for infrastructure work, but you double the budget, you lack the capacity to implement a lot of these projects, then it is clear you are using it as a means of corruption. And once it is being used as a means of corruption, you are virtually reducing your ability to deliver to the people of Guyana and take them out of poverty. And so we have got to pay careful attention to corruption and support anti-corruption measures, because corruption is key and can lead to our people not benefiting in the way they should benefit. As we are seeing, we are talking about the fastest growing economy in the world, but poverty is on the increase. Child malnutrition is on the increase. And so we have to take it in the broader context of the fight against corruption, both at home and abroad. Corruption is an epidemic that is not good for a small country like Guyana, particularly as it is now obtaining resources from oil, and it has always been a country that had the potential Now we can realize our potential, but corruption and poor governance stand in the way of us realizing our potential, and that is a cause for concern.
Yeah, yeah, indeed. One of the interesting things as you're on the economic front is the fact that we agreed to the government to pass that measure that I think it was a $6 or $7 billion for the cost of living measures. I don't think they have tapped into that as yet, and that was since February. We part of that. Clearly, don't have an interest.
Well, what they do, the PPP is a propagandist party. And so at budget time, oh, 6 billion for cost of living, and it resonates well. And they know unless we point it out, the average man would not recognize that it isn't distributed. And then they're going to bring it to the end of the year. What that means is that they budgeted to give it during the year. They don't. They bring it to the end of the year. And then by the time they give it to the end of the year, inflation would have eaten it up. The high cost of living would eat it up. And then they come again next year in the budget and say 10 billion for cost of living. But it is not being utilized in a way that it impacts the cost of living. I do not believe this government wants to impact the cost of living. This government's strategy is a strategy to keep people in poverty and dependent and make them vulnerable. So when election comes, they will seek to bribe them, make offers. I anticipate they're going to increase old age pension. By the time they're ready to do it, people will need 150,000. And my understanding is that they're going to come with 100,000. But by the time they are ready, people are going to need 150,000 a pensioner. So in my Congress presentation, I made it clear we will seek to bring pensioners to the level of a livable income. It is unacceptable for us to be an oil-rich country. We have people who are pensioners punishing while money is wasted on infrastructure. I come down this new road in Prashad Nagar, and they're building a second one on the inside that makes no sense. When you look at it, all you see is corruption. Why is there a need for that road? And then it runs in to a bottleneck.
Yeah.
So you see that these things are for corruption. If you go to the side of Camberville Government School, if you go to the side of Camberville Secondary School, you will see they put a
walkway or something that leads nowhere.
and people don't walk there. Yeah. For one, it is insecure at night. And in the day, people don't use it. So when it is going to be used, you see clearly it's an approach to put money in the hands of the PPP family, friends, and favorites, rather than delivering to the people a better quality life. And so corruption is part of the modus operandi and bibindi of the PPP. They have now arrived at a place where they cannot operate without corruption money.
Yeah. I want to circle back to some of the discussion we were having about the Minister of Natural Resources, Vikram Bharat, and this latest scandal that he's in. We know for a fact that a number of contractors associated with this government have had their visas revoked. And some of what the government is responding to the situation with seems eerily familiar, because we've had the May Tucson Thomas experience where they've said it was just a normal stop and questioning as these TSA persons are wont to do sporadically. And then we know now, months later, that the U.S. were investigating May Tucson through a number of departments, as you clearly mentioned early on. And one wonders if this is not the same movie we're seeing all over again. It's a normal stop, it's a normal escorting. We saw the video emerged with agents escorting Mr. Bharat and all of that. And we're hearing the same themes again. This is normal. People are escorted all the time, and so on and so on and such and so, even in the private capacities. Interestingly, too, May Thomas had just gotten into the central executive of the PPP, and also she was on a private trip too to China on a diplomatic passport. Interestingly.
You have a corrupt government in power. I do not believe that the underlings, for the want of a better word, in the PPP will act without knowing what the leadership of the PPP is doing. We are well aware of the allegation against Barra Jack there. We saw Fanali trying to distance himself from using Mohammed's vehicle, and the evidence emerged that he did in fact use the vehicle. I believe that, like I said in the Congress, Ghana's in crisis. It's in a governance crisis. Corruption is eating away the society. Now, the PPP, of necessity, will seek to explain away these actions. But the explanations cannot stand scrutiny. Why is it that so many senior government officials are under scrutiny by the United States government? Clearly, one of the things we must note is that while we were in government, we had permitted the DEA to come here, something that the PPP refused, which would have meant that they have other persons here scrutinizing. The diplomatic community here is engaging and will know what is happening. And so I think clearly the government is seriously involved in corrupt activities. And what in essence you're seeing is a clampdown on them, and they're trying to browbeat the Guyanese people that these things are routine. When the next one occur, they will say it is routine. When the following one occur, they will say it is routine. But the average Guyanese is sensible. The average Guyanese will know that they go through the airport. If they're involved in any illegality, nobody don't come and escort them anyway. If there's a little suspicion, they can carry them in the room and they can question them and either let it go. But when it arrives at such a high level, it cannot be accident and the normal escorting. It has to be part of that wider investigation that is seeking to unravel the corruption gang in Guyana and help Guyana to return to some form of decent, good governance. That will do us the good favor of ensuring our resources go to the people where it should go. So all of this noise about being escorted, etc., clearly the government is on the investigation. Senior officials in the government are on the investigation. We have to watch and see where it goes. We must apply our own political pressure of exposing them, etc., at the local level. The government likes to tell us, bring the evidence. I anticipated that it would have been shouting to the US, bring the evidence.
Yeah.
But they seem not to be doing that.
Let us then conclude where we started. You talked there about good governance, and that's one of the things that underpin our administration. I think it was in late 2021, the then U.S. Ambassador Sarah Lynch was advising the government to pursue anti-corruption measures, the PPP government. And it was quite interesting because the only thing she could have pointed to was the years that the APNU AFC were in government of recent, and several anti-corruption measures that were tabled, that were enacted into law, and she was advising the PPP to go in that direction. I see now they're trying with some kind of a symposium, something of that nature, but nothing strong, nothing that is in the system, that is that no laws, nothing that is ratified. They're not even trying to go by the simple code of conduct that we left them, that was gazetted there already. I'm saying all of this to say, you talked about things unraveling. Did you get a sense when they started in government, install, or however you want to term it, that so much would have unraveled so soon? Even with the advent of oil and gas, people are still suffering. The cost of living is high. The non-oil sector's suffering. Did you expect that so soon?
Yes, I did. In fact, when I became leader of the opposition and I started engaging the international community, I was pointing them to the same things we saw around 2013, 2014 re-emerging. And we start by seeing a little drug wars here, and then we start seeing executions. all the things that tend to suggest that the underworld is being linked with the government. You know, I believe that when political power is linked to the underworld and gangsters, the system that emerged resembles gangsterism. And I think what you have is a large amount of gangsterism occurring in the society because a lot of the persons who are key actors in government and in the criminal world are meeting, engaging, and developing deals. I had anticipated, and I recall saying to uh, the international community when I would have met them, that they have made no tangible change. What they did is come with a phrase called One Guyana, and then they continue to do the same things that they did before. It wasn't very long that in government that I remember, I think it was Ganesh, exposing Dharamlal for being involved in shady contract allocation.
Correct.
And it continued. Now, you cannot expect the PPP to deal with corruption. It is like shooting themselves in the head. I'm telling you, foot in the head. For the PPP to tangle corruption is really to tangle with itself. You do not ask people to fight their self-interest. You who believe in the interest of the people have got to help to fight that self-interest of the PPP. No one can expect the PPP as a government to bring laws to deal with corruption. Every law you see the PPP brings is aimed at total control and domination because they also believe as we become involved in these illegalities, we have to dominate all and control all the institutions in the government so that nobody dares to expose them. Unfortunately, in the case with the police consumers co-op, they were exposed and the information was coming out, and though Brutus allegedly transferred somebody to another place, it was too late. The information was already out there, etc. And this is something I want to point people to. People have got to learn to see struggle in its various forms. Right now, government institutions are struggling against the government. And they're doing it by silently providing information. They're doing it in a number of ways that we must pay attention to. And do not believe that because they are putting these laws for domination control in place, they are succeeding. They aren't. What they are doing is pushing people towards a form of passive resistance, which will result in the crumbling of the government. And so, again, I've been saying that we have to look at political struggle in its various forms. We have got to continue to increase the confidence in people believing that they can say to us, they can say to journalists, they can say to people in the diaspora, look, this is what is happening. Now, the government also, by trying to exercise total control here, another form of struggle that is emerging is that people in the system, they are giving the information to persons outside of the country so that there is exposure. And in politics, exposure has consequences. So we have to look at what is emerging here in its general context. You have the official struggles of the opposition, etc. You have the passive resistance in the public service. And it is interesting what happened in the police. It says to you that the policemen are dissatisfied and they are choosing their options to get the information out. I think it is going to happen in all institutions because as you build a totalitarian society in which you seek to control the total life of people and to use your authority as an authoritarian state to do that, people find new means of struggling against you and exposing you and ultimately getting rid of you.
Yeah, yeah. As we wrap up, you talked about this crisis that we are in. What are your thoughts to the nation as we begin to enter into this national election period here more fully? What are your thoughts to this country?
The main thing that should be made here is that the people have an opportunity to compare between 2015 and 2020 and 2020 and now. And what they will see is that we delivered on water, on electricity, on income without oil. And now with the PPP with oil, they are not benefiting. Their poverty is increasing. The cost of living is going up around them. The trade unions are being destroyed and cannot represent them in the way they should. And so, in large measure, our message has to be we are people centered. We believe that the development of this country is hinged on our human resource development. We will put considerable resources into developing the human resource while at the same time delivering on infrastructure, on water, on health, on education in a way that it will redound to the benefit of the people of Guyana. And to say to the people of Guyana, right now, we are promising you prosperity for all and not just for the PPP families, friends, and their elite.
Thank you very much for this time, Mr. Norton. Thank you
Thanks
so much.
for having me.
All right, folks, that's what he said. That's what he said. That being said, folks, that's our time this evening, and that's our program. Thanks to each and every thousands of you. We got over 3,000 persons still watching us. 22 minutes, 23 minutes after 9 o'clock. Thank you, Devon Wrong, and thank you, Shelley DeRida. Glenford Gordon, thank you as well. Anita Atkins and Bezel Clark, good to have you here. Naomi Drucker, you said a lot tonight, Naomi. I hope all your dreams come true. Oren Baker, good to see you there. Sandra Hanover, Auntie Sandra, I see you there. Laverne Lincott and Rob Leander. I see Anita and Rosetta. Mark Giles, good to see you there. And Laverne Lincott. Joylyn Cook is here as well. And Carl Wong. Good to have you. Colin Moore is there too. And Maxine Monroe. I see Rastaman is here too. And Jamal Aziz, folks. Thank you all for staying with us a little bit into the overtime tonight. That being said, folks, that's where we're going to leave it. Stay well until our next broadcast. Take good care.